Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Uttamam
Devin
Saraswatim Vyasam
Devin Saraswatim Vyasam
Tojayam Mudiriye. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of concourse, we should first offer our respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. Oh, did I say Vyasadeva?
No, you didn't.
Oh, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachadini Nivasesha Sunyavadi Paskita Visatari. So this is the last verse in the first chapter of the second canto, and it's entitled The First Step in God Realization. And Bhakti Katja is going to help us with the Sanskrit this morning.
Sa
Sarva
Vriti Anubhuta
Sarva
Sarvadhi Vriti Anubhuta Sarva Atma Yatha Swapna Janekshitayakaha Atma Yatha Swapna Janekshitayakaha Tam Satyam Ananda Nidhim Bhajeta Tam Satyam Ananda Nidhim Bhajeta Nanyatra Sajjat Yato Atma Pataha Nanyatra Sajjat Yata Atma Pataha Sa Sarvadhi Vriti Anubhuta Sarva Atma Yatha Swapna Janekshitayakaha Tam Satyam Ananda Nidhim Bhajeta Nanyatra Sajjat Yata Atma Pataha Sa Sarvadhi Vriti Anubhuta Sarva Atma Yatha Swapna Janekshitayakaha Tam Satyam Ananda Nidhim Bhajeta Nanyatra Sajjat Yata Atma Pataha Sa Sarvadhi Vriti Anubhuta Sarva Atma Yatha Swapna Janekshitayakaha Tam Satyam Ananda Nidhim Bhajeta Nanyatra Sajjat Yata Atma Pataha.
Someone else?
Sasavadri Vrityanubhuta Sarva Atma Yatha Swapna Janekshitayakaha Tam Satyam Ananda Nidhim Bhajeta Nanyatra Sajjat Yatha Atma Pataha.
Anyone else?
Sarvadhi Vrityanubhuta Sarva Atma Yatha Swapna Janekshitayaka Tvam Satyam Ananda Nidhim Bhajeta Nanyatra Sajjat Yata Atma Pataha.
Sarvadhi Vrityanubhuta
Sarva
Atma Yatha Swapna Janekshitayakaha Tam Satyam Ananda Nidhim Bhajeta Nanyatra Sajjat Yata Atma Pataha.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll do the word for word. Thank you very much. the Supreme Person.
The Supreme Person.
Sarvadivriti,
Sarvadivriti.
the process of realization by all sorts of intelligence.
The process of realization by all sorts of intelligence.
You know, once I heard Prabhupada talk about, he was translating late at night, and there was a tiny, tiny bug crawling on the page. And that bug had the same Jivatma that we all have. And I'm having a similar experience. It wasn't just a random, it was actually seeing it, I don't know where it went. It was so tiny. So where was it? Anubhuta. Cognizant. Sarve. Everyone. Atma. The super soul. Yata. As much as. Swapna jana. A person dreaming. Ikshita. Seen by. Eka. One and the same. Tam. Unto him. Satjam. The supreme truth. Anandanidhim. The ocean of bliss. Bhajata. One must worship. Na. Never. Anyatra. Anything else. Sajet. Being attached. Yata. Whereby. Atmapate. Degradation of oneself. So I'll read the translation, then you can repeat. One should concentrate his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who alone distributes himself in so many manifestations, just as an ordinary persons create thousands of manifestations in dreams. One must concentrate the mind on him, the only all blissful absolute truth. Otherwise, one will be misled and will cause his own degradation. So please repeat. One should concentrate his mind upon the Supreme Personality of God, who alone distributes himself in so many manifestations, just as an ordinary person create thousands of manifestations in dreams. One must concentrate the mind on him, the only all blissful absolute truth. Otherwise, one will be misled and will cause his own degradation. I'll read it one more time. One should concentrate his mind upon the Supreme Personality of God, who alone distributes himself in so many manifestations, just as ordinary persons create thousands of manifestations in dreams. One must concentrate his mind on him, the only all blissful absolute truth. Otherwise, one will be misled and will cause his own degradation. And just so to catch our guests up, this particular chapter, if you're not familiar exactly with it, it's where Sukadeva Goswami is describing the Virat Rupa form, and this is a form of meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the first stage of God realization. So here he's also now summing it up, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead distributes himself all throughout the manifestation, and we should concentrate on him, that all blissful personality of Godhead. So now the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
In this verse, the process of devotional service is indicated by the great Goswami Srila Sukadeva Goswami. He tries to impress upon us that instead of diverting our attention to several branches of self-realization, we should concentrate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the supreme object of realization, worship, and devotion. Self-realization is, as it were, offering a fight for eternal life against the material struggle for existence. And therefore, by the illusory grace of the external energy, the yogi or the devotee is faced with many allurements which can entangle a great fighter again in the bondage of material existence. A yogi can attain miraculous successes in material achievements, such as anima and lagima, by which one can become more minute than the minutest, or the lighter than the lightest, or in the ordinary sense, when they achieve material benedictions in the shape of wealth and women. But one is warned against such allurements because entanglement again in such illusory pleasures means degradation of the self and further imprisonment in the material world. By this warning, one should follow one's vigilant intelligence only. The Supreme Lord is one, and his expansions are various. He is therefore the supersoul of everything. When a man sees anything, he must know that his seeing is secondary to the Lord's seeing, and the Lord's seeing is primary. One cannot see anything without the Lord's having first seen it. That is the instruction of the Vedas and the Upanishads. So whatever we see, or whatever we see or do, the supersoul of all acts of seeing or doing is the Lord. In other words, the supersoul of all acts and of doing is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This theory of simultaneous oneness and difference between the individual soul and the supersoul is propounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the philosophy of Achinta Bheda Abheda Tattva. The Virat Rupa, or the gigantic feature of the Supreme Lord, includes everything materially manifested, and therefore the Virat, or gigantic feature of the Lord, is the supersoul of all living entities and all non-living entities. But the Virat Rupa is also the manifestation of Narayan, or Vishnu, and is going further on and on. One will eventually see that Lord Krishna is the ultimate supersoul of everything that be. The conclusion is that one should unhesitatingly become a worshipper of Lord Krishna, or for that matter, his plenary expansion, Narayan, and none else. In the Vedic hymns, it is clearly said that first of all Narayan he cast a glance over matter, and thus there was creation. Narayana Prabhu Vyakta. Before creation, there was neither Brahma nor Shiva. What to speak of others? Sripad Sankaracharya has definitely accepted this, that Narayan is beyond the material creation and that all others are within the material creation. The whole material creation, therefore, is one with and different from Narayan, simultaneously, and this supports the Achinta Bheda Abheda Tattva philosophy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Being an emanation from the glancing potency of Narayan, the whole material creation is non-different from him. But because it is the effect of his external energy by Rangamaya and is aloof from the internal potency, Atmamaya, the whole material creation is different from him at the same time. The example given in this verse very nicely is that of the dreaming man. The dreaming man creates many things in his dream, and thus he himself becomes the entangled seer of the dream and is also affected by the consequences. This material creation is also exactly a dream-like creation of the Lord. But he, being transcendental, the transcendental supersoul, is neither entangled nor affected by the reactions of such a dream-like creation. He is always in his transcendental position. But essentially, he is everything, and nothing is apart from him. As a part of him, one should therefore concentrate on him only, without deviation. Otherwise, one is sure to be overcome by the potencies of the material creation, one after another. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:7 as follows: Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshaya Punastani Kalpadao Vijamyaham. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, every material manifestation enters into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I again create. The human life, however, is an opportunity to get out of this repetition of creation and annihilation. It is a means whereby one may escape the Lord's external potency and enter into his eternal potency. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The First Step in God Realization. This purport alone, you could probably speak on it for at least a week. So much is there. Everything is in that purport. Let me just take a second. When I first joined the temple, the movement, before you could drink water, you had to say, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, to remind you it's the taste. Krishna is the taste of water. So, that verse in the Bhagavad Gita, I can start there. There's so many places to start from. But that's in the chapter that's called Confidential Knowledge, the most confidential knowledge. So, when you see, there's a lot of things that, it's like when they find these old scrolls in the desert, and they have to try to somehow or other discern what is being said, either in hieroglyphics or some ancient language. They have to decode it. They have to try to understand what these symbols are, what is trying to be communicated. Similarly, even in some things in a different language, we see it has to be translated to us. But sometimes there's something lost in translation. We don't really fully grasp the meaning. Even in there's different types of English. There's British, the Queen's English, and there's American, the way we speak. So, there's certain expressions we have in America that if you're not, you may know the words, but you don't understand the true meaning of it. There's one, I don't know in this generation but when I was growing up, because it was something that was from the 20s and the 30s, he said they would say about somebody, he's in left field. Mm-hmm. And what is that? If you're not from America, what is that? What do you mean he's in left field? I understand the word left, I understand the word field, but it's a derogatory statement, meaning that he's not all there, or he's a very unfortunate person. And the origins is that during the 1920s, there was a famous baseball player on the New York Yankees called Babe Ruth, and he was always playing in the right field. And everybody wanted to be behind him in the right field. And if you were unlucky and unfortunate, you were stuck in left field. So the expression was, he's in left field. He doesn't know what's going on. The real action is over here. Also, similarly, now we have all these, with these cyber world, they just use letters like OMG. And half the time I don't know what these people are saying. But there's always been, there's an expression in America that's okay. And it's worldwide. I'm sure everybody knows the meaning. Nobody knows the origin. But I happen to have looked it up. And it goes back maybe 150 years. And it's from, originally they wanted to say O-W, which would have been O. All's right. But, and then it had to do with oil. And they spelled right with a W. But then that didn't catch, so they said okay, which means all correct, and they're spelling correct with a K. So this means that the oil was okay. And there's another one that comes from England, actually. Mind your P's and Q's. Does anybody know what that's from? It means mind your pints and quarts. Because there would be cheating with the pints and the quarts. They would put false bottoms with weights or put some other substance in so you wouldn't get a full pint or a full quart. So mind your P's and Q's. So these are the kind of things that occupy. So now if you're going to be in Jeopardy, on the game show Jeopardy, and you have a category of, these names or vernacular or the origin of, what is that science of semantics, the entomology. So, yeah, so if you have a category like that, you'll be one up, so you can win some points. So, so it just translate. Prabhupada would say often, many people have come to America, and there's been many Bhagavad Gitas before mine that's been translated into English. But out of all those translations, no one became a Krishna Bhakta. Because they themselves weren't Krishna Bhaktas. And it's not just a question of having an accurate academic translation. There's more to it than that. You actually have to pick up the spirit. You have to have the proper consciousness. And that consciousness is Krishna consciousness. And also the hearer has to have the proper consciousness. To understand this most confidential knowledge, the qualification, there has to be a change of heart. It's not just having a mental understanding or even an intellectual understanding, although you need to use your intelligence to understand. It's a question of a change of heart. And that change is attained by hearing and chanting the Lord's holy name, and hearing and chanting the bona fide scriptures. And then the heart becomes purified of envy. And also, there's one other was very important. Let me see, I think I may have written down. But so by doing that, one can properly understand this most confidential knowledge. Faithfulness. From becoming non-envious, you become faithful. You're completely convinced in your heart of what has been taught to me. I'm completely convinced that this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, is God. He is there. And by hearing and giving my full attention, I am associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And just like if you were to go and meet an extremely famous personality, like say a king or a president, before you enter, they say, like with the Queen Mother or the Queen, you're told you're not to reach out your hand to shake her hand, only if she reaches to you, or you must curtsy if you're a woman, you must bow if you're a man. All these different things, do's and don'ts. And similarly, we have 10 rules of etiquette while chanting the holy name. You should always be attentive while you're chanting the holy name. You shouldn't think it's the same as chanting the name of Shiva or Lord Brahma. Things like that. We say them every morning. So, because we're in the presence of God. And by being in the presence of God, and this is not for just everybody. But again, and I can clarify that in the sense that, just like I mentioned, there was a tiny small bug on the very scripture I was reading. It's in hearing the sound vibration. He's on the pages of the words. It's an interesting coincidence that it happened. It's a good example. But he has no idea what's being said. He's the same as me. He's the same Jivatma as I am. But I'm sure there's benefit for being on the Srimad Bhagavatam, but he's not getting the same benefit that we are. So, all the living entities that are here now on this farm, they all are benefiting from being here, but they don't get the same benefit as those who are in the human form of life. So those people, it said at the end of the purport that only in the human form of life do you have this opportunity. And only those human beings who fully understand and take advantage of that, who take advantage of this process and realize there's more to life than eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They don't buy into the materialistic civilization. Because there's also this concept that possibly, okay, even if there is a God, it seems like he's lost control of his creation. Everything's going crazy. Maybe he created it, but where is he now? I don't see him. That's why we get the Virat Rupa, to understand. I don't see him, and what's he doing about things? Why is everything so... Maybe he's just got tired of it and just went off and is enjoying on his private planet. Or he's just lost interest, or maybe he's not, maybe he died. There was actually some concept like this, that is God dead? It's ridiculous. So, there is, or they say he's an absentee landlord. I actually did have, when the first temple in Atlanta, we had a landlord who actually lived right next door to us, and we didn't know that he was our landlord. Mm-hmm. We would send the check to the post office box, and we were having so many problems with the building, and he knew it. He could see that we were having problems with the building, and we were trying to communicate with him. We left so many messages. He wouldn't do anything to help us. And then we made changes, and when we left, he sued us for those changes we made. A real... That's a long story. But I refuse to pay him. Anyway, so this is one of the concepts, so that people think that maybe God isn't interested anymore in his creation. If there is a God, who knows? Maybe there isn't a God, but even if he is a God, he doesn't seem to be relevant in our life right now. Like the way the communists, they used to sit outside the church, and people would be praying, God, give us our daily bread. And when the people come out, they say, did you get any bread from God? And they said, no, really? Well, we have some over there in the truck. You just need to sign up and stop going to this church. They did this also in my ancestors' family. The British. The Irish have something in common with the people from India, because, as a matter of fact, the British were practiced on us, and then they went to India and other places. So they would they would take all our food. People think, we just had potatoes, and therefore we were starving because there was a blight on the potatoes. No, we had meat. We had all kinds of vegetables. They had imported or exported out of Ireland something like 2 million pounds worth, and in today's value that would be enormous, and I mean pounds sterling, not pounds of the weight, like dollars, money. And a pound in those days would be like $2.5. So they took all the food and left us with the rotten potatoes. And they wanted us, and they took our land, and we weren't allowed to be landowners. only if we promise to convert to the Church of England. And those who refuse to do so, they either starved or they immigrated to the West. So this mentality is there. It's always there. You know, you have to, because our God, the Church of England, is going to provide for you. Or our religion, communism. There is no religion. There's only communism. There's only the worker. This is the attempt of the materialists. They try to exploit the resources of God for their own pleasure. And so in this purport, though, it also, and in the verse, it talks about that this is like a large dream. The dream that the Supreme Personality of Godhead's external energy has created. It's an extraordinary dream. And we all have our own little dreams within the dream. There's a very beautiful song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I think. Yeah, Bhaktivinoda. Ji Jago, Ji Jago, Gora Chandra Bole, Kotanindra Jao Maya, Isachira Mule. Wake up, sleeping soul. You're lying on the lap of the witch Maya, dreaming. Wake up. You're in the human form of life. Stop this dream. And we have our daydream and we have our night dream. They're both very, what makes them similar is that they both have a beginning and they both have an end. The reality has no end. Our true nature, I'm going to try to summarize this because it's already 8:25, I think. I'm going to try to say in a few words what I was planning on saying and many more. That our true nature is that we're, how does it go? Jive Swarup Krishna Nitya, yes. That we are originally part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the human form of life, it is our business to align ourselves with the desires of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The more we are aligned with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we do that through the parampara system, by taking shelter of the lotus feet of our spiritual master, and Guru, Shastra, and Sadhana, we align ourselves to those desires, we can gradually wake up from this dream. And in the dream, now, okay, the things I dream about at night, I don't believe I'm responsible for those things. But what we dream in this dream, the waking daydream, there's karma. And that karma, we have so much karma from all the lifetimes. I mean, the karmic reactions are like seed. The karma is like seeds. Some are dormant, and they resemble the stages resemble those stages of a plant. And I'm not a gardener, but there's a dormant stage. There's a beginning of fructification, then a little bit more growth, and then the full blooming. And so we're living the reactions of previous karma that we performed. And it's affecting us, but we have no idea what's coming down the highway. And we have so much karma that it's stored up, that we have, it's so vast that, these mini storages people get, we would need a storehouse for all the backed up karma that we have, that's from our previous life. It's all there. It's all being stored. And we have to experience the results of those things as long as we stay within this dream. But by practicing this process and aligning ourselves with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and reawakening our true nature is to be always blissful, never in ignorance, never in fear, never anxiety, never envious, always filled with beauty. I mean, it's like, we take a picture of the Radha Kanta, and I happen to think I have a specific, for lack of a better word, a crush on this Radharani. I think she's the most beautiful Radharani I've ever seen.
There you go.
And Radhakant is very fortunate to be with. And but sometimes you may say, I don't particularly feel that way about this particular Radharani, but in the spiritual world, every moment, because there is no past or future, it's every single moment is increasing. So, like, say if you want to take a picture of these deities, but it's a static beauty. So then you want to take a picture of the deities in London, and take a picture of the deities in Atlanta, or in Oman, or the deities in Toronto. So you get a different view of the beauty of Radha and Krishna. You don't have to do that in the spiritual world. Krishna, at every single moment, his beauty is increasing. Can you imagine that? Always becoming more and more beautiful. And we it is our right, it's who we are. We have that. We can experience that beauty, that love at every moment. We just have to wake up. Ji Jago, Ji Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. So, I'm not even touching this verse at all. But also, it's another point. I just want to tell a quick story. Krishna is always increasing, and he never diminishes. There's a verse in the Shri Upanishad. It's actually the invocation. Om Purnam Adat Purnamidam Purnasha Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. No, wait, I skipped a line. Is it?
Yeah.
Purnamana Purnamidam Purnam Purnam Dashyate Purnasha Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. I'm going to read the exact translation. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself, because he is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Now remember, I said earlier that maybe he's Krishna or God, whatever. Maybe he's gotten bored, or maybe he's used up all of his energy and he's exhausted and he can't deal with it anymore, and it's out of his hands. But here it says that he's perfect and complete, and no matter how many emanations come from him, he remains perfect and complete. There's a story that Srila Prabhupada tells, and it's about, it's called Dinabandhu Da, something like that. So in the Vedic tradition, the teacher was a Brahmin, and the Brahmin didn't get a salary, but he received donations from the students' parents when he needed something. So, excuse me one second. So this one teacher, he was having to sponsor a very large festival and having to feed 100,000 people. So he's asking all of his students to ask their parents to bring some foodstuffs. So he's talking to this one young man, and he says, "Well, we're very poor, but I'll have to go and ask my mata what I can bring." So he goes home and asks his mata, "What can we do? My professor he needs food to feed this big festival." She said, "Well, we're very poor, son. We don't. But I think you can ask Krishna. He's called Dinabandhu, the friend of the poor. And he said, well, where can I... He's our friend. He said, well, where can I find him? She said, well, go to the forest and call out to him. So he goes to the forest and he says, Dinabandhu, my brother Dinabandhu, my professor. He explains the whole story. I need something for my professors, my Brahmin teacher, his festival. So he comes and he hands him a pot of yogurt. And he's very happy. I got a pot of yogurt. So then he brings that to the professor, and the professor says, what's this? He said, well, my friend Dinabandhu, because we're poor, he helps the poor, and he gave me this when I told him that you needed some for this big festival. He said, what can I do with a pot of yogurt? I'm feeding 100,000 people. And in the process of passing it to him, it drops and all the yogurt spills out. Then the professor comes back and he notices the pot is filled up again. And he picks it up, he's shaking, it drops again, it spills out. And this happens like 3 times, maybe 4 times. Finally, it dawns on him that this is coming from Krishna. And no matter how much he distributes, it will always be full. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's no end to His mercy. There's no end to His beauty, His strength. His opulences are unlimited. There's no end to His love. And we, through the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy mission of the Sankirtan movement, and by the mercy of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, who's come to the West, he was there in India for many years. It was confidential. They were keeping it secret. And now Prabhupada has come, he's given to us. And now many of Prabhupada's disciples have also gone out and are giving it out also to others. So in this way, it will go on distributing and more and more and more. And we'll never see the end of the mercy until the 10,000 years is over, I guess. I just realized that I was saying that. Whoops. So anyway, does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes.
When you were talking about Maya, I'm reading in Prabhupada in the Rita about how the boys are asking Prabhupada about what's happening, why is Maya, because he was having a stroke, it was like a death graph, and he said, well, because I'm getting all of your nice boys and girls to preach and spread this Krishna consciousness all throughout the Western world. Maya has given me this death graph. But because you have sincerely prayed all day and all night constantly to Krishna to help save me, Krishna has saved me.
And that was also the time when the doctor came to see Prabhupada. So when the Ramananda asked the doctor, so what can we do? And he said, the old man, he prays too much. He needs to get out and take a walk. And they were like, what? They're saying Prabhupada prays too much? And Prabhupada wanted to know what the doctor said. And they told him. And Prabhupada said, yes, from now on I take a walk every morning. That was the beginning of the morning walk. Anything else?
Well, what is, you never did really give the answer. I mean,
at
least I didn't catch it. You said, Krishna may be just ignoring his creation. You gave so many examples of that. So, I mean, what is the story? Everything's a mess. Where is Krishna?
That's what the answer is that he has given us this world. This is our playground. He is witnessing us. He is supporting us in our dream, and he's keeping through his agents an account of our good and bad actions. And good is not necessarily good either, because it keeps you entangled. He is totally aware of what's going on, and he has come himself personally many times. most recently as Lord Chaitanya, and sent his most important servants to come and communicate, and he's left behind these literatures. And so he is very much a part of this creation. He's very involved in our lives. He's fully aware of everything. And that sun is rising, or at least appears to be rising, because of his energies. He works through his energies. We are having problems. All of our problems are man-made. If man was working in harmony with God's laws, there would be no problems. I remember during Katrina, and it was at the end of when we had the eye of the storm passed over. And someone said, the back end is going to be worse than the front. And I thought, oh God, no, we can't take it. I was so tired. I'd been up for I don't know how many hours, at least 24 hours. And more. And so I just went into my room and I turned on a cassette tape. I had a battery-operated cassette tape. And I heard Prabhupada say, it was just random. And Prabhupada said, during the reign of Maharaj Yudhisthira, because he was such a God-conscious king, there was no disturbances from the threefold miseries. And all the weather, the seasons were happening properly. There was not too much rain, too much heat, on and on like that. And I thought, Krishna is here. I could relax. I knew everything was going to be okay. And I lay down and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, the storm was over. I slept through the back end of the storm. Because Prabhupada said, because it was just, to me, I know that our society isn't, not ISKCON, but the materialistic society we live in is not in harmony with the laws of God. But because Prabhupada said that, he was like assuring me that everything's going to be okay. You'll be all right. It was one of those super soul moments. It was the perfect thing to hear at that moment. Does that answer it? Yeah. You could probably answer it better than me. What do you think?
Oh, golly, I heard this thing.
Okay, well, that'll be the topic of your class Friday. Tune in on Friday with Yogendra.
I think you answered it perfectly, Dad, because we're all acting out of harmony from Krishna, right. Therefore everything's chaotic. But he's here, he's giving the advice, but who wants to follow it,
Yeah, exactly.
We're trying to follow it in Prabhupada's International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that's for sure, but we're just one small organization, and usually people just shrug off our advice, We tell them, golly, all this animal slaughter is creating so much war and disease, but people don't take that seriously, unfortunately.
But we know that Super Soul, as long as if we're following the instructions properly and we're chanting nicely, not only are we becoming purified, but the whole world is becoming purified. Because the sound vibration goes out into the ether. That's what I always liked about Harinam. Because when I first joined, that was our main engagement, was being on the street singing and dancing. And I really felt like we were an antenna to Vaikuntha. And we were broadcasting this radio message from Vaikuntha, the transcendental sound vibration of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna was present in sound. And it was purifying everything. And actually they say the sound vibration goes around the world 7 times. So you can only imagine how bad things would really be if there wasn't a Hare Krishna movement right now. But slowly, gradually, things will change. Super Soul is witnessing. Super Soul is in control. Not the politicians, not whatever else. It's Super Soul in control. He sees everything. There is no secrets. Nothing is a secret. Krishna sees everything, he controls everything, and he reciprocates. thumbs the tithe of pajamya, as you surrender them to me, I reciprocate with you accordingly. So, and this is all part of this confidential knowledge, and it's been decoded by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, the first pure devotee to translate. Thank you very, very much, Srila Prabhupada, and all of you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare